Hello, everybody, and welcome to a off the spot, off the wall podcast of Right from the Kickoff with your host Joe Wright, and joining me as always, obviously not as often in recent times, but it's William Bayliss. How you doing, Will?
I'm all good for getting a little tender. I had surgery a few days ago, so I'm a little sore and tender, but I thought no better time to record a podcast when I'm at home recovering and the Euros is today. The first match is today, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, it's
So
exciting.
no
It's
perfect
exciting.
time.
I mean, obviously, everybody knows that when these tournaments come around, it's football fever. I love it when we have the summers where the tournaments are in, either that be the World Cup or the Euros, Copa America, that kind of stuff. It's great. It's great stuff. But what we're going to do to start off with, because obviously we've not been on the air for quite some time, is I just want to ask you, Will, and I'm going to start with you in terms of Nottingham Forest last season. Obviously, you managed to stay up, you avoided relegation. But from a fan's perspective, how do you feel about that, and where do you see the club going forward?
Well, it's a bit of a loaded question there, isn't it? Considering everything transpired with Forest last season in terms of the point deductions and everything. I think Forest fans are happy with that we managed to stay up in spite of the points deduction. We can get into that another time because I think we can have a whole podcast just on point deductions, can't we? Given the Leicester situation.
Yeah.
But going forward, I think next season will be a harder year in terms of teams coming up because obviously you could argue about the better caliber teams like Leicester for sure. Even though you're probably going to get a hefty points deduction, you're still going to be a hard team to beat. I know you're looking for a new manager now, but
again, that's a whole different.
Yeah, I think I think it'll be a harder season with the teams coming up. So I think any progress Forest fans would be happy with, just depending on everything else in between. What's your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I think Forest, just going on quickly onto Forest, just very briefly, is I think you were quite lucky to stay up. And what I mean by that is the standard of the teams below you were awful. The fact that you managed to survive with a 4-point deduction, I think you finished on 32 points, if I'm correct. So you'd have finished with 36.
Yeah.
The same standard of points Leicester got relegated with last season, just kind of showing you the difference in standard. But no, I think from a Forest fan, I'm very happy that you've stayed up again. Second season syndrome's out of the way now, and hopefully you're an established club and you can move forward. Leicester situation, I'm not going to kind of talk about this too much because I could spend ages on it. But obviously, got promoted last season, brilliant. We're now looking for a new manager. Enzo Maresca has gone to Chelsea. Which again, I'm not going to delve into too much because it's a whole different podcast. But we are, we're looking for a new manager. Happy that we're up there for the financial reasons. Obviously, you mentioned points deductions. It could be hefty. I think it's still going to be around 6 to 8 points, to be honest. I think the 15 is a bit scaremongery in terms of other sites and other fans of clubs are saying, oh, this is what's going to happen. I think it will be 6 to 8. Which I'll be happy with what's been reported.
Yeah, under the circumstances, I think. Obviously, I'm just going to touch on this very briefly, but then we can move on. But I think it's probably a bit higher because you weren't very helpful in terms of supplying the information to the EFL and to the EPL. I think that might be one of the reasons why it'd be a bit heavier.
But I also don't actually think the points deduction is going to come anywhere near as soon as people are reporting.
Oh, really?
And what I mean by that is I don't think we'll start the season with a points deduction. And here's my reasoning behind that. When it was first reported, and the club have made very clear that they're going to legally fight this against the Premier League, so they're not going to take it standing. Which I think, again, very much like we're seeing with Man City, could very much delay the process. Maybe not to the standard of which Man City have done it.
Yeah, that's a whole different series of podcasts, I think.
But I actually don't think we'll start the season with a points deduction. And what I mean by that is not saying that we won't get one. I just don't think it will happen on the very first of the season, because Leicester City, when they release a statement, they can't no longer comment on it. But when they first released a statement, when this was all said, is they will legally fight this in court, which is obviously all going on now. But I think that is going to prolong the process, and I think that's something that a lot of fans have forgotten. But that's something in the back of my mind is like, I'm not sure this is going to be as cut and dry as people think it's going to be. But anyway,
time will tell, won't it? But
yeah, well,
let's get to the matter in hand then. The Euros.
Yeah, moving on, Euros. So, what I want to do here, Will, is just want to talk about England first of all, and we're just going to go into what did you make of our performance against Iceland? But very first off, what do you think of our chances? So, answer the second question first. What do you think of our chances in the tournament, and how do you think we got in our last warm-up game?
Well, if you have a look at the bookies, you would have thought we were clear-cut favourites, which I don't agree with. I think the thing with England is, and I think it showed in the Iceland game, there's a lot of players, and we spoke about this before off camera, off podcast, but there's a lot of unknowns in this England team. I think the fans kind of got what they wanted, but now that they've got what they wanted, they aren't happy with it. And I think you know what I mean by that, Joe, where people say that Southgate picks players on the players he likes, but you could argue that's not really the case this tournament, with a lot of like young players and a lot of unknowns in this England team. My main worry though is, and I think this is the elephant in the room, is the back line. Like you could argue the front five are very much in form. You know what you're going to get with them, but the back line is a lot of unknowns in that, and you don't trust them. And at the end of the day, Joe, having a strong defense and a good defensive unit will win you a tournament.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't think we've got that.
Yeah, even if you're not scoring goals, your back line is very often what can take you to winning a tournament, because you can draw 0-0 and still win on penalties. So you know,
have a look at Italy last time. Like they arguably had a really strong defense.
Yeah, and I mean that's known with the Italians, but I think even you go back further to, I believe, 2016 when Portugal won the tournament. It might have been earlier than that. I think it was 2016, but when they won the tournament, they didn't score a goal. They only won a game. Sorry. In that tournament within the 90 minutes once, and went on to win the tournament, because I think that was the first tournament they brought in the best three teams from the four groups go through. So Portugal actually finished third that year and still went on to win the tournament. But I digress. I agree with completely what you have said in terms of our back line. He's ultimately what's going to let us down, I think. We haven't. Problem is, Maguire's injured, and now everybody's like, "Oh man, we need Maguire," when they've been calling him to be left out for years. I think the issue with me is, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, but now we're talking about that back line. I mean, the fact that Tomori's not getting a look in for me is baffling. That is one that I will. And, you know, you talk about Braithwaite as well. But, again, Braithwaite's very young. You know, he deserves his opportunity. But I'm saying, like, the fact of the matter is Tomori's doing really well with AC Milan. It's almost like Gareth Southgate can't turn his head to the fact that we've got a player that, I can't be bothered to go over to Italy, so I'm not even going to look at him. I'm not particularly a fan of that, especially when you look at the options we've got. You know, you look at Gahey, you look at obviously Trippier, you look at Shaw and Stones. I mean, those are probably two of our best defenders, but they're injury prone. So we don't have a strong back line at all. So I completely concur and agree with what you said.
And what's your opinion? So we know about that though, but what's your opinion on what do you think our strongest team is? So let's run it from the back going forwards. Let's hear your team, Joe.
So difficult. I mean, again, I'm going to say to you what I said to you off air. I'm not particularly strong with formations, so I'm just going to kind of pick my 11. And if I have to shoehorn players in that you have kind of mentioned to me, so I'm going to go back line. Obviously, keeper. Obviously, Pickford. No need to explain that one. And then back line. So we've got. Let me have a think. So we've got Stones.
Yeah.
And I personally think we're going to have to go either Gahey at the back.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
I think that's my centre back pairing, just because it's the best we've got. And then the two full backs, I'm going to go for Trippier. And who else have we got in options? I'm just trying to think. I'm doing this off the cuff.
Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker, yeah. So those are your two fullbacks for me. And then you go into your mids. If we're going to play sort of three attackers, three midfielders, or whatever you want to put it, I'm going to put Rice, obviously at DM. Maybe Mainu, although he didn't flattered to deceive against Iceland, but I'd still put him in there. And we'll go Bellingham. Those are kind of your three midfielders. It depends where you want to play him as an 8 or a 10, but that's besides the point. Saka, Foden, and possibly Palmer. Again, not particularly saying which position those are in, just saying those are three, and obviously Kane up front.
Yeah, that's very similar to mine. Do you want to hear mine, and then we can discuss?
Yeah.
It is very similar. I'm going for 4-2-3-1. So I'm going to stick to a formation. So Pickford in net, a right back, Kyle Walker, centre backs, Stones, Gahey, and Trippier on left back. I think left back could be an Achilles heel as well, because we don't. Shaw could play there, but as we saw, he's not fit fully. I think that's why we have the extra cover there. So then I've got 2 sixes. So I've got Rice and arguably, and he'll push forward later on in the games. But I put Bellingham there as well. I know that's quite controversial, but he can do a job there.
I can see why you put him there, but I think we need him more in an attacking, creative role. I mean, he is a bit of a box to box as well, so he can do it. He's one of our best players, if not the best player. Obviously, debate for another time.
I don't want to limit him, but the front four, so the free bit of the 4-2-3-1, I've got Saka on the right, because we were missing that pace and everything. Foden in the middle and Palmer on the left. I just think that'll be a good pairing of they can exploit that. They've got kind of similar profiles in a way, but I think they could work around the defense of the opposition. And obviously, I've got Kane up front, so quite similar our two teams. What's your thoughts on my team?
I think again, it's difficult because obviously with the Saka situation, because I personally think if you're going to play a 10, I would personally put Bellingham in the 10. That's my kind of opinion on it. But then who's had the most? Because Foden, for me, his best position is the 10.
Yeah.
So it's how Southgate sees it. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I personally quite like your team. I think both our teams, if they were set up that way, obviously you kind of going more into the setup. I think if they were set up in your way, I think we'd have no problem getting through the group. It's just how we'd fare later on in the tournament. Having said that, just going on to the Iceland game now, what did you think of the performance? I know you only caught the first half because you're a busy second half. I mean, you didn't miss much, honestly, in the second. But what did you think? From what you saw, what did you think?
I think there's a lot of team. I think it just felt like we weren't prepared. The team weren't used to playing together and were very one-dimensional. And what I mean by one-dimensional is that we didn't have any width. So if they play everyone behind the ball, because if you're playing a lower league, a lower side, they will do that against England, and that's something what we've always struggled with, is to try and get around the low block and everything. We need to have a pace out wide, and that's why I like the availability of Heze, because he has that pace going wide. And I know we spoke about this before, but Rashford would have been perfect in the game because he has that pace to beat that back line. But I can see why he hasn't got picked, because he hasn't had a very good season, and I totally justify why he wasn't in the squad at all.
I mean, it's the same with just kind of nice little segue there. So yeah, completely agree with what you said, but just kind of nice little segue into what you just said. The three players, obviously the big names missing out. I think everybody else was pretty much a dead cert. Probably Braithwaite is the most controversial, but I'm not going to talk about him now because we've already kind of touched upon him.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got Rashford, you've got Grealish, and you've got Maddison. Those are the big three names that missed out, obviously being in previous tournaments. I mean, my general kind of consensus around that was I've got no problem with any of those missing out if we're picking the team based on form, which is what, like you said at the top of the show, a lot of fans wanted, and now they've got it. They're crying about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like these three players haven't done enough. You know, I heard, I'm name dropping here, but I heard Paul Merson do an interview the other day, and he was like, you know, Jack Grealish, as he plays week in and week out against the low block, you know, he can get in there. I just don't understand why Southgate hasn't taken him. But then you look at the stats, and Grealish has only played 1,000 minutes this season. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, he's not obviously been playing a lot of football. Rashford, just again, he's had one of his seasons where he just looks disinterested. But I think to be honest with you, that's less about his football, and this is me having a bit of a dig at United. It's the toxic culture at United. I really don't think that they've been okay. The players there, it's a very toxic environment to be in. You can tell that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think that is kind of a breed of how players are playing. I mean, you look at Sancho leaving for Dortmund and getting to a Champions League final this season, so that kind of speaks for itself. And then so Rashford's one that didn't deserve to go, and then obviously Maddison had a great first half of the season, poor second half season after his injury. But as a Leicester fan, I could have told you that was going to happen because it had happened the three previous seasons that we'd obviously seen him at the club, and almost like a carbon copy. Do you know what I mean? In terms of starts off really well, gets all the numbers, gets, you know, even when we got relegated, started off really well. Was banging in the goals, then gets injured, then comes back and underperforms because of that injury. Same thing happened again at Tottenham. So that's 4 seasons in a row now that the same cycles continued, which is obviously a problem with Maddison going forward, because there's very rarely does he get a full season. You know, there's always a stint where he is injured. So, you know, I think those three players. I mean, what do you think, Will?
Yeah, I think you have a good point there. It's so tough because the England team I don't think it's as developed as what we'd like it to be at this point, and there's so many things where we're just not sure about, and those players haven't deserved to be in the team, have they? So you can see why they aren't from this season's form.
No, yeah, completely, and you know, I think those players don't deserve to be in the squad. Simple. You know, so you can't really have a go at the Southgate for that. For me, you know, I on paper, if I was taking the squad, I'd be like, well, you know, Maddison's not performed, Grealish not performed, Rashford not performed, they're not in. You know, when you've got the likes of Palmer, you've got the likes of Foden, you've got the likes of Saka, who have all had better seasons. Again, just using those three players as example. Eze, you know, had a better season than some of those players. Again, not saying they play in the same positions, but I'm just giving you some names.
Yeah.
Even Warburton, if you're going to look at him a name to take out again, not same type of player, but since he started for Crystal Palace, he's done amazingly well. So yeah,
Yeah. So
he's there on merit.
yeah, I agree. So we're talking about England now. Who do you think is going to win the tournament? Who's your winners and runners up?
Right, so yeah, we'll go through the list that we compiled before the show. So yeah, my winners, runners up. I'm gonna go for. Do I go for my heart or my head? Okay, no, I'm gonna go for my head. So I'm gonna go for Germany winners.
Oh, home advantage.
Yeah, home advantage, and I just think that they've not really had a tournament over the past sort of I would say 6 to 8 years. They've not really had a tournament where they've set the world alight. So yeah, I'm gonna go Germany to win it, and then runners up Portugal. Yeah, Portugal.
Not France.
No, not France. I think France will drop out at the semi-final stage.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on the brackets because I haven't had a chance to look at the
yeah,
brackets. But I think,
I mean, again, that is very it's very difficult when you can't see the brackets because that might not be possible. Do you know what I mean in terms of the brackets and stuff? But yeah.
So those are your top 2 teams then, basically.
Yeah. I wouldn't say top 2 on players alone. I think France are definitely in with a shout. That's not me saying they're not, but I just think
And
that
we haven't even mentioned Spain either.
I know Spain, no chance.
Oh,
Spain's squad are relatively poor.
Interesting. Okay,
Quarterfinals
so I think Germany will make the final, but I think you can't write off Portugal, can you?
No, you're having the same picks as me then. Is that it? Apart from we're just switching.
Oh no. No, that's great. Let's say Germany France final, France to win.
Okay. All right. He's gone for the easy
I think England will get knocked out in the semi-final.
Yeah, potentially. I don't think we'll make it that far, mate, if I'm honest.
Okay. That's the one for you. Do you think that this would be Gareth Southgate's last tournament?
Yeah, I think regardless of what happens, even if we win the thing, I think he's gone. I think he knows this is his last tournament. I think he's kind of thrown a Hail Mary with what he's picked. I think he's just quite tired of the job now. I don't mean that in the sense of he doesn't want it, but I think he's ready for a bit of a break. And yeah, I do think it's his last tournament, especially with what everybody kind of says about him in the media.
No, exactly. So we spoke about the winners and losers now. Who's your Golden Boot winner? I know we didn't talk about it previously, but I think it'd be a good one to talk about.
Golden Boot winner, I'm gonna go for. It's an obvious choice, but I just think last tournament, last time we're going to see him on the international stage at the Europe level, I'm going to go for none other than a lot of people's goats, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh no, really?
Yeah,
I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I just think that actually in his older age, he's not going to score fantastic goals. He's not going to be scoring free kicks. He's not going to be doing any of that. But in terms of his ability to still get on the end of things, headers, tap-ins, that sort of thing, he's just got a predatory instinct. So yeah, Ronaldo, Golden Boot.
I'm going to say, do I say Mbappe or Kane? Let's be patriotic. I think Mbappe. No. Yeah, I think Mbappe would probably be the Golden Boot winner.
What Will didn't mention before the show is actually.
Is that I'm French? No, I'm not French. I changed my mind last minute. I think it'll be Mbappe. I think he's gonna have a good tournament.
Awesome. Right. So what else are they? So we got the dark horses and flops, I believe, haven't we? Next.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, you go first on these two.
So my dark horses. Oh, I did have one actually. My dark horse. My dark horses are going to be Slovakia.
That is a dark horse. That is somewhat out of left field. I mean, I know that's what inherently the dark horse
Yeah,
category.
but Joe, think about it. In their group, they have Belgium. They're probably going to win. Romania and Ukraine. So I know Ukraine are quite good, but Slovakia are doing. I think they do all right.
Yeah.
How about that one? You didn't expect that, did you, Joe?
No, I did not. I did not. I mean, how far do you think they'll get in the tournament to give them the label horse?
Round of 16.
Round of 60. I mean, does that categorise them as a dark horse? I mean, I suppose so, because nobody expects them to get through the group. So yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
How about yours then, Joe?
Dark horse for me, Hungary.
Well, I almost wanted Hungary, I think that'd
Hungary.
be a good shout.
And if you look at the form coming into the Euros, it's very good. I can't remember their group if you've got it up there, Will, but I know they've got some tasty time.
Yeah, we've got Germany, Scotland, and Switzerland.
Yeah, I can see them conceivably finishing second in that group.
No, I could potentially.
Yeah.
I've got another dark horse for you as well, Joe. Turkey.
Turkey are everyone's dark horse every year, and they never do anything.
Yeah.
I went for dark horse last time.
Yeah.
I went for them last time, and they did absolutely niche. So I'm not making the same mistake twice.
They turn into your flop. Okay, on to flops then. Who's your flop?
Flop, Italy.
Yeah, they've got a tough group. Croatia, Spain, and Albania, so that could happen. But the thing now with there's a lot of third place teams who could still qualify for the knockout rounds, can't they?
Yeah, I just think if you look across the Italy team themselves, they're quite poor. They're not as strong. They haven't got any Chiellini this year either. They're not as strong as they were when they won the Euros. Obviously, missing out on the World Cup last time out as well, which was a shock.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a case of being honest with it and just for me, Italy.
Italy. That's fair enough. Have I said my flop? I haven't said my flop yet, have I?
No, you are.
I think my flop will be the Netherlands.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the Netherlands, they're not going to put up any houses. I don't think. I don't really think they're going to do much. So yeah, I'm happy with you to say that. But I don't think anybody expects them to go on and win it or anything. So.
Joe, either that or England.
No, I mean England won't flop. It depends what you consider a flop. I mean, if you're talking about us getting to the quarterfinals, which is where I think we'll place, or maybe semis, like you said, then it depends. It depends what you consider a flop.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there's no doubt that we'll get out the group stage. We're better than all three of the teams in that group. We should really come away with 9 points. I don't think we will. I think we'll get 6 or 7. But yeah,
I'll take 7.
we won't be exiting at the group stage because you need one win, and it's against 3 winnable teams. So
yeah, exactly. Have we said all of that? Oh, young player of a tournament.
Young player of a tournament for me. I'm going to go for, because I'm not put anything English on it. I'm going to go for Cole Palmer.
That was my one as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, that's all right. We can do the same one.
There you go. And player of the tournament.
I'll let you go first on that one, Joe.
I'm going to go for. Who am I going to go for? I'm going to go for something completely wrong, and you're going to laugh at me for this, but I'm going to go for none other than Arsenal's number 9, Kai Havertz.
Controversial. Why Havertz? Explain yourself.
I think he's going to score quite a few goals. I think he offers more going forward. I do think with the likes of Musiala and Mites in there for him to sort of create the chances, I think he's going to get quite a few chances and score quite a few goals. And also he's a creative outlet as well. So yeah, I'm going to go for Kai Havertz.
Interesting. I'm going to go with my Golden Boot winner, Mbappe.
He's just such an easy pick. He's such an easy pick.
Sometimes, you have to.
Yeah, but I just don't like Mbappe, to be honest with you. As a person, just don't like him.
Yeah. Well, that's your own prejudices, aren't they? So, yeah. But I think if he's a Golden Boot winner, he'll probably be player of the tournament as well. Either that, or I'm going to go left field now. Rodri, your player of the year.
Player of the year?
Yeah, you said that Rodri's one of the best players in the world right now.
Yeah, I did. I mean, the problem is it's very much fundamental, isn't it? Of just going back a bit, but you look at the DM position. Players like Rice, like Rodri, like Kante back in the day, they never get the plaudits they deserve because obviously they don't do the flashy stuff. They were very much reliable, win the ball back, retain possession, all of that stuff, but which is very much fundamental key parts of the game. But what's funny is they basically, they just don't get the plaudits they deserve. So that's the only reason I don't think he will get any accolades for that, because he just doesn't. I mean, realistically, he's been Man City's best player this year and wasn't even in really with a shout of player of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that, but that's down to position rather than the player themselves, because it's all about attacking players that win those awards.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway.
So, let's go to the first score prediction just for tonight's game. Scotland against Germany. First game of the tournament tonight, Joe. What are you going for?
3-0 to the Germans. 3-0 Germany.
Yeah. Couldn't be a harder game for Scotland to have a game against tonight, is it?
I think it's not only the fact that they're obviously playing Germany, who they've not incidentally beaten since 1999.
What a stat.
Yeah, what you say?
Great stat.
Great start. There you go. I was actually flicking through some information the other day and I remembered it. So yeah, they've not beaten them since then. They're playing away as well. The German crowd are going to be well up for it. I just can't see anything other than a 3-0 win to Germany.
Yeah.
By the way, that's not me saying Scotland are poor. I think Scotland are a lot better than they previously have been. Obviously now they're actually qualifying for these tournaments and stuff like that. But I think it's more about the occasion for Germany as well.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what, Joe? I'm gonna say 3-2 last minute German winner.
Oh, right.
A bit of entertainment. You would love that, wouldn't you?
Oh, what do you say? I mean, no, I'd be absolutely gutted for the Scottish. Would I? Bloody heck! I would not be gutted.
But from a neutral perspective, it'd be a great game.
I mean, to be honest with you, mate, it's the only time in my life that I've considered buying a German shirt. I mean, I'm not exactly saying I want Germany to do well in the tournament, but I certainly don't want Scotland to do well.
We love all our home nations here, Joe, don't we?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't mind the Welsh, don't mind the Irish. I just don't really like Scotland. Not going to make any bones about that. So, yeah.
I just want to say for record, I do not agree with what Joe says, but that's okay. We're allowed to have disagreements.
Yeah, but you never agree with anything I say. So,
Joe, to be fair, for a change, we've agreed on most things today.
Yeah, well, no, because you're a yes man. That's what you are. You are a yes man. You're like, oh, we love the home nations. No, we don't. fuck off back home and let us win the tournament. That's all.
On that note, Joe, are you excited for tonight?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm very excited, although I will be travelling down to my girlfriend's, so I might miss the start of the game. But no, I will be settling in for the second half, and going to enjoy it. And I think the thing is, do you know what I hate? Right, is and I had the same thing at the World Cup because I just started the job that I'm currently in now. Is the fact that I used to be able to just watch every game I wanted. I'd love it. You know, being unemployed was great for when it was football time. But now, obviously, that is not the case.
Yeah, and I'm recovering surgery, so I have a week off. So.
Oh, shut up.
I mean,
Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. All right. Well, that leaves everything. Sorry. So what I'd like to know is who are your winners? Who are your dark horses? Who are your flops? Top scorers? Young player of the tournament, and of course, player of the tournament. Where do you see it going? Are you excited for the Euros? Are you excited to see what we can do? Obviously, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. That will be hopefully next season. I say this every year. Next season, hosting on a more regular basis. But unfortunately, life happens, doesn't it, Will? And we both
indeed.
So.
Yeah, we both have full-time jobs, so we'll try to be around when we can. But make sure you follow us on Facebook, not LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I've been working too much on LinkedIn lately. But yeah, make sure you follow us on all our socials. All the links are down below.
All right, cheers, guys.
And until next time, we'll try and get one up next week. But we'll see you later.
Nice one. Cheers.
See you later. Bye.